So I looked it up, and they had Pat Tillman, and they had people that was part of his foundation at the event, and it was honoring his memory. But the problem is, through the militaristic fever that's going on through the presentation at the Super Bowl, they whitewashed his story completely. Most people to this day, and I'm saying this as someone who did not know this until maybe like 3-4 years ago, like the story of Pat Tillman, that shows how we're the most propagandized country because everyone lies about it. Everyone in the media. They will say stuff like Pat Tillman was a hero who quit his NFL job and died in service of his nation. He died in service of his nation. No, Pat Tillman went to Iraq, saw it was a fraud, saw what they was doing was illegal, called for the end of the Iraq War, and then he died by friendly fire, CJ. Friendly fire. And then they covered it up. And they want people to kill him. Well, go ahead, CJ. I know you want to chime in.
No, I never talked about this or heard anybody talked about it. But did he express his discontentment with the war, and then he was friendly fired? Because that doesn't seem like
I can read a little bit of the article. I can read a little bit of the article, and then you can chime in here because that was just my long preface. Anti-war voices accused Super Bowl of hijacking the Pat Tillman story. One journalist reminded readers that the NFL star and Army Ranger called the Iraq invasion and occupation fucking illegal and was killed by friendly fire. In an incident the military covered up and tried to hide from his family. And not only did they hide it from his family, they tried to hide it from the nation. Because as he was introduced, here, I'll read this part. Advocates of peace and human decency on Sunday escalated the National Football League's whitewashing of a former Arizona Cardinal and Army Ranger Pat Tillman's death in Afghanistan by so-called friendly fire and the military's subsequent cover-up and critical details emitted from the glowing patriotic Super Bowl salutes. As a group of 4 Pat Tillman foundation scholars chosen as honorary coin toss captains at the Super Bowl. See, that's why I wasn't paying attention to the coin toss. So that explains why I missed that part. They said when they was playing Tillman, they was told he gave up his NFL career to join the Army Rangers and ultimately lost his life in the line of duty. That's one hell of a lie by omissions. That's a gigantic lie by omission. So he was.
But you see how it's just a few words. You see how just a few words, Nick, and this is why people downplay propaganda. But just a few words changes that whole thing. Pat Tillman, who enlisted NFL star, who enlisted into the military, discovered it was a sham and was killed by friendly fire. You see how that's it's literally maybe 15 words, completely different story about the same event in person. Go ahead.
You see how strategic they are with the propaganda to change. Yeah, he technically did die. He lost his life and duty. But when you say it like this, it's like he was like saying it the way they did makes it like he was like a proud service person, proud of his service in the area. He died honorably fight. No, he was killed by the military for after criticizing the war. And
there was a movie, Nick,
go ahead,
called In the Line of Duty. So the phrase "in the line of duty" means you were killed doing something brave. That is literally what it figuratively means culturally. So you don't have to say that's what that means. And this is what propaganda understands. They take figure of speeches because they know it has a meaning of its own that they don't even intend. But you don't have to even say it. You get what I'm saying? It's killed in the line of duty. We didn't lie. We didn't say he wasn't friendly fire, but the concept of in line of duty, the reader's just gonna go, "Wow, he was brave." Yeah. That's all they want you to have happen. Go ahead.
Technically, they didn't lie, but you would never assume that death came from friendly fire. And I was not being holier than thou when I said that most people don't know about this, because this is something I learned about maybe 4 years ago, 4 years ago, and it was something like I don't remember who mentioned it to me, but someone was like, "Do you know that Pat Tillman died by friendly fire?" I was like, "What?" I thought that Pat Tillman died because he went to Iraq or Afghanistan and he was killed. It was a tragic story.
So you thought he helicoptered into a freaking terrorist site with guns and just you thought it was Call of Duty. That's what you thought.
I play a lot of
You
Call of
see,
Duty.
you see how they assume, and a Call of Duty plays a part in all of these things, Nick, makes their propaganda believable. The propaganda on TV, the what you see on movies, what you see on the NFL, all of these things collectively make you believe the ridiculous stories about South Korea, about China. It's all about building the conditions, like the Chinese spy balloon. Can you believe that bullshit? That tells you right there. Go ahead, Nick. I'll keep rambling.
Yeah, and that's what this is meant to do. Because if you mention you died by friendly fire, that changes exactly what that means. Because that's why I didn't even know that until I looked more into it. Like it's one of the things where all you hear about the story, they keep saying die in line of duty, so you just fill in the line. That's what they're doing here. So that's why a lot of people were outraged by this. And it said the video did not say how Tillman died, what he thought about the Iraq War, or how the military lied to his family and the nation about his death. This outraged many viewers. So there's a lot of people that saw that line like, what? This and this is following because by the time they got to the coin toss, I was tapped out. Because that's when the game about to start, CJ. At that point, they did like 30 minutes.
That's why I told you I didn't even see it because literally before the game started, I was like, oh hell, I can't do this shit right here. Oh no, I can't do this. But good thing, like I hadn't planned to watch it anyway, so I wasn't disappointed. I literally was out with my wife. We was celebrating Valentine's Day because we can't celebrate it during the week. That's what we were doing. And then, it was TV, everybody was watching everywhere we went. People was watching it. But that's all they were doing. Pat Tillman was the last straw for me. That's when I was like, I can't. I guess I'm not watching. I'm just watching highlights this year.
Yeah, this is something I learned about afterwards because I didn't see this part live. I saw anyone tweeting about well, they did fucking what? I was like, they did what? Anyway, it was a fun event. I didn't want to ruin my family event by getting political. That's the last thing. That's the last thing I want to do when I'm off. Let's talk about politics.
Yeah.
I'll read the last part. Go ahead, CJ.
And you said your family is very non-political. So people who are non-political and believe it's all nonsense, they don't want to be preachy. This is the part, Nick, where I have to get better at talking to people who are not in this shit. How to talk to people who are not in it, to talk about them, talk about the shit. You get what I'm saying? It's hard, man, for me. Go ahead.
You plant seeds. Like I have done this expertly because a lot of people don't want to be surrounded with that talking on nonstop. I would have dropped bombs out like you say stuff like, "Man, Obama was a war criminal. They full of shit." And you leave it there, and then you let them ask questions. What do you mean by that? Oh, since you asked, I was like, anyway, that's a whole long conversation.
That's a whole nother story. Yeah,
and I went to South Carolina. I talked to hundreds of people down there, had a lot of fun, and you learn with different personalities. It's almost like a puzzle that I find greatly enjoyable once you crack it. Like, how do you get this person on my side? Like, my brother is extremely radical, anti-capitalist now. Just because he'd be in the background hear my rants and shit. He's like, oh yeah, that shit makes sense. And that's kind of, I don't know. But anyway, let me continue. This last part, I will read this story, and then I'll pass to we can start with the introductions because this is a great point. The killing of Pat Tillman and covering it up afterwards is the worst thing the U.S. military did to him. But the years they spent rolling out his portrait, backed by some inspirational music as a recruiting tool, is a close second. Now think about how disgusting that is. You killed this man, and now you guys are using him as some sort of icon and as the spokesperson of why you should sign up for the military. The guy who
sounds very George Floyd-ish. It sounds very George Floyd-ish, using his name for a bill that funds the police, using his name to promote war. Like, why do they keep using him? What's so particularly egregious to me about this, Nick, is that not only you did this to this person and his family, you use it the year he died, okay. You use it the second year, nigga, we 15, 20 years later, you still using it? That is disrespect. Go ahead, Nick. You were going to.
It's almost like it's a flex. Like you say, it's a disrespect. Almost like it's a flex. It's like you think you're gonna speak out against all wars. You're gonna try and lower our morale.
Yeah.
We're gonna kill you, and we will use your face as a token for war recruitment. Take that. It's the ultimate evil flex you can have on someone who dissents. So that just show how disgusting the propaganda that we see on the NFL games. And once again, I can't stand. As someone like I struggle. And this is mostly because growing up during stream culture, but I really struggle watching advertisements. Like it would literally take me out of a whole fucking show. Like I'd be in the show, like, yeah, this is good ass shit. Then they cut on sudden a fucking Burger King commercial come on. I'm like, oh, I don't know, I'm fucking out of it now. But so I hate watching advertisements. So I watch fucking NFL football literally every 2 to 3 minutes, and I'll be with my brother. My brother, who was the one who moved in recently, he's a big NFL head, and I'll just be joking with sometimes. I'm like, bro, you realize there's been 5 ads before the last play, right? He's like, shut up, Nick.